In this video, we're going to talk about how to write a campaign strategy. Grab a pen or a pencil, have a seat, because I'm going to tell you exactly how that's done. Now, in this video, we're going to break it down into 3 basic steps. Who are you targeting? What are you going to say? And where are you going to say it? Because all 3 of those are what constitute a campaign strategy. Let's start with who you're targeting. And let me tell you a fact about running for office. There are some people who are not going to vote for you. I don't care what you say. They're going to reject you because you belong in the wrong party, or they don't like the way you look, or they don't like your issue positions. Get used to the idea that you can't win every vote. So your targeting exercise is basically this. Take a holistic look at all of the people who are likely to vote in the year when you are running. Look at them by party. Are they Republicans? Are they not enrolled? Or are they Democrats? And you start looking at those who would probably vote for you if they vote. You isolate those who could be persuaded to vote for you if you give them a good argument. And then you will find that group of people who will never vote for you because you're in the wrong party, and you get rid of them. Now, you don't stop there. You got to go a little deeper than that. It's not just the party affiliation you want to know. It's not just the voting history you want to know. You want to know everything you can about that electorate. Their age, their race, their ethnicity, their income, their net worth, whether they own or rent their home, any other demographic information you can find. That comes first, because there's no point in targeting people who won't vote for you. Now, if you have no idea where to find this kind of information, leave a comment below and I'll tell you exactly where you can. Oh, incidentally, if you're thinking about running for office, and I assume you are if you're watching this, I got a great book for you. It's called 12 Essential Steps to Prepare for a Political Campaign. The link is below this video. Download it and read it. Secondly, what is it you're going to say? You know what you are to a voter? You're a means to an end. You are the way they get something they want. Even if all they want is for government to get out of their lives altogether. So you must tell people what they get by voting for you, or else they won't, because you can't leave that blank in a political campaign. So number 1 item of your campaign message is, what are you going to do for the people once you have the power to do it? How are you going to improve their quality of life? How are you going to cut their cost of living? How are you going to right a wrong that may be going on in your community? What policies are you going to change that would make their life better? Maybe how you're going to improve their schools, or improve the infrastructure, or the water, or the sewer, or the police, or fix the crime problem. Whatever it is, your message must tell them what you plan to accomplish and what they get by voting for you. Now, if they're interested in your offer, they're going to have a few other questions, one of which is, hey buddy, you, candidate, how do I know that your values are in sync with mine? You have to answer that question in a political campaign. Now, we weren't born with values. The values we have are those we've acquired on our journey, but what's your notion of right and wrong? What makes you angry? What makes you sad? What makes you happy? Do you care about the same kinds of people that voters care about in your jurisdiction? Let people know the moral code that guides your decisions, because you may have a great offer on the table, but they need validation that you're going to be the kind of person that will represent them well, even if it isn't on the issues you're talking about. Third thing, they need to know you're qualified to do the job. So tell them a little bit about what you've done. Jobs have you held? What have you done in your community? Did you go to or graduate from college? Have you done something extraordinary in your life, like write a book or developed a business that became successful or served in the military? Those are all considered qualifications to run for office, and it is a piece of your campaign message. Two more items that are important components of your campaign message is, why should voters trust you? Now, how do you answer that question? Tell them something about your journey through life that made you passionate about fixing a problem that is relevant to them. Why do you answer that question? It's because they know deep in the back of their mind that you're going to have to make judgment calls that you're not talking about in the campaign. You're going to have to make hard decisions, that you're going to have to do difficult things at some point in public life. They'd like to know they can trust you when they're not watching what you are doing. Final component of your campaign message is what makes you better than your opponent. What can you tell voters that just makes it absolutely clear that you are the best choice in this race between two people or in a multi-candidate field, that you are better than the other candidates running? What they get from you that they can't get from any of the other candidates. Those are the 5 components of a campaign message. So how do you disseminate your message once you've figured out what your message is and once you know who you're going to target your message to? Well, there are 2 things to consider. One's the cheap. It's if you live in a small community, door-to-door is very effective. Yard signs are very useful. Neighborhood lit drops, especially in a neighborhood that has a particular problem, like flooding after storms or what have you. What we call your ground operation, that's done with your help, but also with volunteers who are willing to devote part of their weekend time to going door to door to put your literature in front of the people who answer the door and ask them to support you. That is a good ground operation, and that is relatively inexpensive. Now, if you are running in a larger jurisdiction, you are going to have to advertise. The most efficient form of political advertising can be done on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Why? Because it's cheaper than any other kind of advertising to put your mug and your message in front of eyeballs. That's why people use it. Now, it does take time to penetrate, but if you do that well, it is a marvelous way to build a base of supporters in your community. It helps you get the campaign off the ground. It becomes a good source of volunteers. It may even become source of campaign contributions. There's also a form of digital advertising where there are people in this country who can put an ad when someone is browsing their website that has your picture on it and your campaign slogan. That is also a very useful tool for raising name recognition. Once you get beyond that, we start talking about money. TV is very expensive in most jurisdictions. It will eat a chunk of your budget, but it is also an efficient way to reach people in a large jurisdiction. Some communities still have great radio stations that people listen to. There's persuasion mail. It's been used almost since the beginning of the printing press. It is also used frequently today. If you use it, just make sure that your graphics are great, because otherwise people will throw it away before they look at it. But those are the basics of your advertising plan. And no, we're not done, because there are a couple of other really important things I have to mention here. One is a campaign budget. I know that's boring. I know it makes your eyes glaze over, but it has to be done. So you got to construct a budget to pay for all of this stuff you plan to do. You cannot do a $3 million advertising budget if you only raise $500,000. So next step is, what does this advertising plan that you put together cost? Now, add to that, what it's going to cost you to hire the vendors to help you execute that plan, and the kind of campaign staff that you are going to need in your headquarters to make this operation go. If you do not have a budget to do these things, you do not have a strategy. What you have is a wasted effort that's going to draw dust on a piece of paper. Now, I've told you how to write a campaign strategy, and I assume that you are in politics or you may be interested in running for office. So I got another video that will be extremely helpful to you in the link below this one. It's called How to Run for Office, 7 Essential Steps. Go watch it while this is still fresh in your mind.